So thank you, first of all, for actually being willing to be a guest in my podcast. And I think we can just start off with asking, could you give me a history of Nicaragua, maybe, as a country?
Yes, of course. No. First of all, thank you for your time, for this interview, and for your work, your podcast. It's amazing. So thank you for that work. Thank you. Well, I'm from Nicaragua. I was born in 1981. In that period of time in Nicaragua, we had a civil war in my country. 10 years of civil war after a revolution that took place in 1979. This revolution was led by students and movements, organization linked with students and people who was trying to have a freedom Nicaragua, because before 1981 we had a dictatorship in my country. His name was Somoza. And this was a family dictator. First of all, it was the father, Somoza's father, then their sons. And before 1979, he stayed in power during 50 years. 50?
Yeah.
50 years. And so people began to organize and to try to push down this dictator. But at the end, when the situation in the country was very dangerous for everybody, he was a real cruel dictator. And so people organized and took guns. And this student movement, led by one political party or one movement at that time that calls FSLN, Sandinistas Front for Liberation in Nicaragua, they quit off the dictator in 1979 and took the power. And this movement took the power. It was young people, 18, 19 years old, many of them 22, young people who get the power. And in that context, internationally, we had the Cold War, and this division of the world with socialism and communist countries who was aligned with the Soviet Union, and the capitalist countries who was allied with the US. No? And so in this context, this movement who took the power, this young movement who took the power, was aligned with the socialist and communist line internationally. And so US intervened the country, and we had this civil war. It was us, the Nicaraguan people, those 10 years killing between each other, but it was also financed but the war was financed by the US against this political movement who took the power. In the 90s, beginning of the 90s,
90s.
In the 90s, yes. In Central America, we had historically the different countries in Central America. We was in war, almost all.
No.
Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua. We was in war. And we, after years of civil war, all the countries signed the peace. No? And inside of each countries, the different movements inside each countries make possible to sign the peace. And we start not only as Nicaraguan, but as a Central American people to start like a new era of democratic transition. And we had in 1991 our first and free democratic elections.
Okay.
So if you think in historical times, our democracy, not only Nicaraguan democracy, but in Central America, it's very young.
Yeah.
We don't have many years of democracy. We start the democracy that we know as democracy here at the U.S. Until 1991 that we have our first free election. But this movement, this revolutionary movement, who was supported by the most part of the population in Nicaragua, began to make some political practices that, for me, were lined with corruption, with this kind of political issues that make people in general make people like distance of democracy, of politics.
Okay.
And I don't know if you it's okay okay. And so the leader of that revolutionary movement run after each 5 years we have free election, it's supposed. So the first one was in 1991 and the second one was in 1996. He ran again and he lost. And in 2001, 2000.
I think 5 years, 2001.
In 2001, he ran again and he lost.
Okay.
And so he began to make a sort of consultation or alliance with other political powers.
Okay.
And change in this alliance the constitution of the country that was created in the 90s, in the 80s. And he changed it in this alliance with all other political parties who was accused of corruption. And so the promise was, if you agree with me to change the constitution to allows me to win the presidential election with less of the percentage, with less of the 50% of the votes, so I will forgive you the cases legally open because of your corruption. And they make this arrangement between political parties there, and they change the constitution, and they decrease the percentage to win an election before you win, before 2006, that were the next election. You could be a president of Nicaragua if you win with the 50% of the votes. And he changed it to win with the 32% of the votes, because that was the percentage of the population who was aligned with him, with this.
32%?
32,
okay.
32%. 32%. And he changed it, and in 2016, he won the elections.
2016 or 6?
2006, sorry. 2006, he won the election. he get the power again, this leader of the revolution, get the power again, and make an alliance with the church, the Catholic Church in my country, and with business and economical power in my country. And they begin to run the country in terms of economical issues. The country show good numbers since 2006. But in terms of liberties, freedom of expression, in terms of freedom of organizing, all that rights that were allowed by the Constitution were on decrease.
Yeah, slowly reduced.
Slower reduced, yes, were slower reduced. And then we arrived to 2012, 5 years.
After 6, 11.
2011, and we had other elections that were not free. People went to vote massively, but they commit fraud for the election, and they stay in power. And freedom were reduced.
Yeah.
And then we arrive at 2017 for the next election, and nobody went to vote. Not nobody, but the percentage of people who went vote was the less percentage that we had since our first free election,
like in history.
the 90s. Yeah. Okay. And he remained in power because he committed a fraud. Yeah, and he said, I win with this percentage, but it was not true. And since 2016, this guy, this leader, Daniel Ortega, his name is, he began to change the rules of the game, of the democracy game. You know, he begins to control all the institution of the political state, and he began with judges. He controlled judges. He controlled the electoral system. He began and changed the rules there, putting people who was agree with him, who was loyal to him, and making of this institution like a circle of people who only respond to him and not to the constitution or to the population And in 2018, he pushed 2 new changes of 2 laws. The first one was the pensions, the law of pension. People who work his entire life and who was
retired.
Thank you for the word. Who were retired.
Yeah, were retired.
Thank you. I'm sorry for.
No, it's something.
Who were retired. The law will give them less money that it's supposed they will receive. And the second change was related with climate change.
Okay.
He began to make like this kind of mafia related with wood, with trees.
Yeah. Okay.
And sell the wood, the trees, and to without the permission of the communities, and that.
Sell to who?
United States, whatever who wanna.
Other countries?
Other countries, yes, to make business related with the environment and things that wood, everything like that. and 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 so at the same time, we in Nicaragua we have a reserve that called Corn Reserve,
Okay.
and it's one of the huge natural reserve of Central America. And this reserve was someone fired the reserve, and the government did nothing because they didn't nothing to shut down the fire. And so students who saw in social media all people who went to street one day because of the retirement law that they passed, and all the news related with the fire in that national biosphere, national reserve.
Yeah.
And so students went out to the street and demonstrate pacifically for those facts. And the government make the order to the police and to the army to shoot down and to shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot the young people who were protesting. And so at the end of the first 15 days of protest, we had more than 100 young people who died in pacific protest. And the autopsy that shows that murder were caused by guns who only have police and the army. And they were killed by shots in her head, in their hearts, by guns, special guns. You know, it's not the guns that you are allowed to have in your house, not in Nicaragua. And so the political crisis began in that time. That was April 2018.
Okay.
And because of this huge protest and these huge people who die in that pacific protest, the international community began to ask to the Daniel Ortega government at that time to respond, to stop that massive killing. And so the international pressure to him made possible that international human organization came to Nicaragua to know what was really happening there. And their reports show what I'm telling to you. Yeah. After that first report in May 2018, he didn't extend the permission to these people to stay. And so we don't have like neutral reports about what happened after May 2018, but we know, because we was there, we was in the ground, that the murders are higher. So the first report that International Amnesty and the organization, the human rights organization related with OAS, with American state, I don't know the word in English, but it's States of America, the organization that allows all the countries of America to be in. It's OAS in English, in Spanish, sorry.
Yeah, but okay, that organization.
Okay, yeah. This organization sent people to Nicaragua to see what was happening. And the report that they did with International Amnesty, Red Cross, and everything showed that. And at the end of May, they talk about 350 people die. People who was killed by the government. So they didn't allow to stay in the country, But the crisis continued there. And I was part of the social movement. I am we start at that time, we start to organize the people in Nicaragua who was pushing a democratic transition. We began to ask him, stop the violence and give us a free election again. And he said, no, I'm in power. I win the election in 2017 and I'm the president of this country. So the repression was higher and higher, increase and increase. And times run, and we arrive in 2021, that it's supposed that we should have free election again.
Yeah.
And we in the social movement start to organize to compete in that election. And we said, yes, he want to make fraud, but if we prepare with only one candidate who compete with him, not many candidates, only one and we support that only candidate, we can show this fraud. And we start a lot of political work in the ground with social movement, with feminist movement, with students, with people in social arena, and even with some political powers who allowed to give this social movement the how you call that? Political parties in Nicaragua should be recognized by the state. And if you are not recognized by the state, you can compete. So one of the political parties who was allowed for the regime to compete said to us, you can be with us in this election and you can run. So, or what he did, he put in jail to everybody in 2021. I was one of those person who was put in jail in that times, and he closed the democratic transition, and he is still in power, and we have an enormous crisis of democracy and a lot of the economics progress. We don't have it anymore because nobody want to go to a country who is not politically stable. Nobody want to invest in a country that it's not political, that it's not political stable. So, and we're still struggling with this guy who is there. And now one of the tactics of repression that he is pushing, it's to expel people from Nicaragua. So, for example, if you are a Nicaraguan and you are a student, he closed all the private university. He closed it. All the civic organization or NGOs, he closed it. We don't have nothing. Nothing in civil society exists anymore because it's not allowed to. They are not allowed to exist. And if someone says something, he put you in jail or he expel you from the country. And the repression that my people is living like in this moment, it's very, very terrible. And I am here because last year, remember that in 2021 he put everybody in jail, and that was a huge, or that had a huge impact in the international community, and international community began to push him to get us freedom, get us our freedom. The people who he put in jail, when international community was asking for our freedom. And last year, United States make a negotiation with the regime, and he put 222
Yep,
222 political prisoners in a plane, and he sent us here. So I'm part of that group who came in that plane, and I am here because of that. He did again. Because he has this political strategy, I think. He expelled people from prison, political prisoners, but he keep others because people still live. 4 million of Nicaraguans live in Nicaragua, and the most part of them are not happy with this dictator. And anyone, every day, it's put in jail because a post on social media because of an opinion against them. They go to your house and take you or whatever is with you and put you in jail. And so they have these open doors, we call that. He opened doors to get political prisoners freedom. But at the end of 1 year later, he had the same amount of political prisoners. And he did the same last September. He took 135 political prisoners who were in jail after our release, who was put in jail by him after my release in February last year, and he made this new negotiation. They put this amount of political prisoners in a plane and send them to Guatemala. To Guatemala, yes. But that was in September, and right now the political prisoners increase again because he has this strategy of, you don't like me, go out. If I'm not gonna kill you because it's give me problems for me and in a international sphere, but well, you don't like me, so go out. Our constitution allows the private property. He dismantled that. He confiscated private properties. Yes, and my house, the houses of everybody, he took it. And So yes, that's a little bit of history and the actual facts in my country.
Well, thank you for giving such a detailed one. Wow, you really also know your dates and everything. But I realized I forgot to ask for your introduction. So for the people who don't know, maybe a short introduction who you are.
Okay, thank you for asking that. Well, I define myself as a feminist and political activist.
Okay.
I am part of one feminist movement, but at the same time, I am part of a political party who is not allowed since many years ago in Nicaragua, and I am part of a movement in exile, Nicaraguan movement in exile, and because of my political activism, I am in jail, but I continue working with many other Nicaraguans who are in exile to a civic and peaceful transition in my country.
Okay.
And we are doing an international work to push them to sit in a table and to have a negotiation, because we don't want war. We don't want more people who is suffering in our country, even their people. We deserve to live in our country, everybody. And we are trying to have this democratic and peaceful transition here in exile. So I am part of the political movement, and I identify as a feminist and a political activist too. And I am here at Arco Center because this center focus on social justice and offer a fellowship in human rights to activists all around the world who need some
Like support, assistance?
support. Yes. So I am here because this possibility that I think that only the US have this kind of programs that help activists all around the world.
Yeah.
Maybe not the only country, but it's something very unique. Yeah, and this country has these amazing programs, and that allows me to continue with my activism, but at the same time to have this conversation with people like you who is interested in what others around the world are living or facing. Yeah. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, talking about something similar, because even in Nepal we had a monarchy. Till 2008 there was a king, but to remove the monarchy, there was a civil war, so there had to be a fight. So it's kind of not just related to Nicaragua, but do you think it's possible to remove like a dictatorship or a ruler without violence? Do you think it's, because I know it's possible in some cases, but what do you think about maybe in Nicaragua?
I think yes, but it's more difficult than it was before, because you have many examples around the world in the last decade, who make it possible. For example, in Europe, you had these examples that make it possible in a peaceful way. But these guys right now has learned the book, you know, and they are doing the things hard to make that possible, and because of that, me and the people from Nicaragua who are working in that path, in a pacific transition to democracy, we think we need to push these dictators. And one way to push them to do that, to have a negotiation, to have a dialogue, because we need that dialogue. They have the guns, they have the army, they have the police force are under their control, and it's because of that they are in power still, because nobody else has that. But we said we don't want a war, we don't want a civil war, and what we ask is for economical pressure to them, because this family, it's also a family in power. Yeah. It's Daniel Ortega, and his wife, Rosario Murillo, it's the vice president. Yeah. But they have like 10 childs. Okay. The whole family, it's in position powers in every state institution, judiciary, electoral power, all the powers of the state are controlled by her and his family. And so they are doing business with the money of the country. Yeah. They are doing a lot of they have increasing the levels of corruption inside the country. And one of the things that we are pushing for this Pacific, to push them to negotiate a Pacific transition, it's touching their economies. You know, they have a lot of enterprises that are owned by the family, but who was made with public money, with the money of the people, of the Nicaraguan people. And so, yes, to respond in your question, I think, yes, I'm committed with that. I don't want a civil war. Nobody wants that. And nobody in an international level is going to support that. But especially, I think that it's possible because the most part of the population want that. The most part of the population wants that the war, the violence stop in my country. And the only ones who continue pushing for a war or a civil war are them.
Yeah.
And so we need an international community committed with us to push that peaceful transition. And I think one of the way to do it is with sanctions to them, not to the country, to them and their money, because they care about their grandkids and the stability of that family, and the only way to push them is taking their money. I think it's one of the things that we should push to do.
Okay. I think, looking at countries, I think it's good to compare between countries that are similar. Like, for example, Nepal is in South Asia. So I like to compare, because it's difficult to compare Nepal to some country in Europe or like Canada. Yeah. But I think if countries are closer, there are more similarities, like Nepal, India, or Bangladesh. So even with Nicaragua, I realized there are many countries in like Central America that are doing like a bit better than Nicaragua. Yeah. Like I think Panama, I realize, is doing really well, or certain other countries that are even neighboring Nicaragua. Like, why do you think that is? Do you think there's something different, or because I think you said there were certain countries that had civil war around like 80s, 90s, and then all of them got peace. Yeah. So what made it different, do you think?
I think that Panama and Costa Rica are the ones that are doing a better work. Okay. And I think that it's related because the elites, the political and economic elites are committed with democracy and with the rules of the game. But in Guatemala, they are having troubles there, and in El Salvador too, we have this president that is changing the constitution, and they begin like that. They begin doing that little changes. So if you see our history, you can see that these leaders come to power not taking the guns like in the past, or making a war or a civil war. They are getting the power, changing the rule of the game, and they change that rules because they have other politicals and other political who allows that. And do you understand me? Definitely. So you have these new leaders that came with this speech that says we are going to change everything, and they come to the power and they begin to change the rules. And not only the constitution or the rules, the democratic rules for the country, but making little changes in each of the most important institutions in the country. In Nicaragua, it was the judiciary system and the electoral system. Because if they control the judiciary, if you kill someone and you control the judiciary, who is gonna... I am the law, you know? I don't need anymore. And they changed that rules. They changed the people. So I think that, and in El Salvador, it's happening a little bit, step by step, the same. And in Guatemala too. And at the first the first years of these changes, nobody says nothing because the economy is in a good route. You know, it's growing and it's. But at the end, it can be disastrous because it can be because at this time, at the beginning, I don't know, in 2006, that Daniel Ortega come to the power and begin to change little by little until arriving at 2018, they were also 16 years changing rules, changing people, changing the constitution and the agreement of democracy that we had. And just right now, our economy, it's not the best. It's not what we had. The economy of my country, it's supported. I don't know how this PIB. Do you know what this is?
No.
It's the internal, the incomes.
From foreign people who work abroad.
Exactly. So the money that the remittances.
Foreign remittance,
are supporting the economy of my country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my country too.
Yeah. Not because they are doing a great job,
Okay.
But that was not like that in 2016. So people do nothing at the beginning because the economy works well and everything is well. So they begin to change some things, and at the end, nothing's work well because they control everything, even the private sector also. So for me, it's we are not good. We are in Central America, El Salvador. I think that they changed the constitution, and they changed some laws who allows freedom, who allows, and that they are following in El Salvador and in Guatemala the same book of Ortega, little by little. And that can be worse in some years in advance if we look that path. And I think that in Nicaragua and Costa Rica and Panama, that are different from the rest of the three countries that I mentioned, it's related with a strong commitment about a strong commitment with democracy by the elites. A strong commitment with the rules that allows the institutionality of each power of state and the institutionality of the private sector of the state also. So I think that it's a strong commitment with that, and that didn't happen in Nicaragua, and it's not happening in El Salvador, and either in Guatemala, I think. And the other huge case that you have in the region, it's Venezuela.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Venezuela. That it's the same pattern. Yeah. And the other country that it's struggling also with poverty and with this kind of dictators, it's Cuba.
Cuba for a long time.
Cuba for a long time. And so I think it's related with that strong commitment, not only not only with people, normal people, but the elites. We need elites and politicians and church people.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean when I said elite?
Yeah, definitely. Like the people who have money or business power,
or people
influence.
who has influence and power, and this whole power, like church, like whole power, you call it, church, like business people
Yeah.
or the private sector really committed with the rules of the games and not only with their interest as groups. I think that makes a huge difference between countries. And I think, yeah, I agree with you that in Central America and in Nicaragua, we had this experience that many countries in South Asia, like Nepal,
Yeah.
that in Myanmar, but it's not called Myanmar anymore.
No, I think it is Myanmar.
It is
now.
Myanmar.
Yeah.
Myanmar, for
Yeah.
example, when I read
Yeah.
about Myanmar, and I saw their history, it's almost the same
Yeah.
that happening in Nicaragua. And I think that it's also related with this colonial mentality.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Not democratic people who think that one big leader should do the things and manage things. And this anti-democratic, I think our democracy, it's not the best, even not in the US. I think that we as society, we need more diversity, but I think that the countries who are struggling like mine with dictators and like Venezuela, or talking about the region, the Latin American region, it's related with that colonialist mentality and with these leaders who think that they can fix and they can do anybody without rules and without being accountable of what they do.
Yeah, what you said, I think is right, especially about, because I think being colonized or having that effect is very, because I think it affects the whole society, because people aren't used to, at least I think in UK, like it grew kind of organically, like parliament or democracy, or even in America, it kind of, the people decided, but most of the time I think when like foreign powers try to, even when you try to set up democracy, I think it's difficult. Like if a foreign power comes in and tries to, like, say, become a democracy, it gets, I think, difficult.
That's true, but it's also difficult when you have people in your own country
Who are not used
leaders
to.
who are not used to do it,
Yeah.
and who has not, also because you have this huge countries who intervene, or
Yeah.
it was not Nicaraguan case.
Okay.
This since 1990, U.S., Russia, anybody, no intervention. It's us.
Okay.
It's Nicaraguan people who has this authoritarian culture, who do not. It's true that it's not it's 40 years of democracy. It's not even, you have maybe 4 generations who lived under democracy, but it's new, and we have this, in Nicaragua, we have this culture that allows the authoritarianism, that allows violence, that allows, we have this culture that we need to break, and to break.
Break.
And we need to work on that. But in this moment, I think it's that mentality, and these leaders are not only in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
I can see that kind of leader here.
Yeah,
Still,
definitely.
it's like, and so for me, it's like a mix of things. It's the people who is committed with the democracy and the rules of democracy, the importance of having institutionality. That means that each institution, it's run, it's accountable, it's, and has a strong commitment with accountability a strong commitment with rules of your own institution, and who are not who are not gonna allow to break that rules, to break that commitment with democratic rules, because you offer them money or because you offer them, I don't know, corruption. That's a huge problem too, corruption.
Yeah, corruption definitely. At least I feel I agree with you where like I think people or societies that aren't used to democracy, there's kind of like different. Like you said, there's like an authoritarian kind of tendency, and in Nepal it's something similar. It's like tribal tendency where since Nepal is made out of different groups of people, we often support our own like ethnicity. If there's someone else from another group, we're like, no, I won't vote. Or like if you're voting, we'll vote for someone who promises us something rather than like, who's probably the better one. But I realize it's very difficult to change like, people's entire perception. So I think because like education or like, I don't know what is like necessary, but because I think the people themselves, if they are very like, well educated or they know, or I think they have, because it's very difficult to have people who have like never studied or never gotten to read or who are always like farmers, because I realize in Nepal many people are just farmers and they don't even have the time to protest or they don't have the time to do anything. So I don't know how, but I think it needs to be a combination of like education and making people richer, because I feel if people have wealth, so I don't know how we can do that.
I agree that education is the basis of everything, but I think that also we need to understand that we people in Nepal or people in Nicaragua, we are diverse.
Yeah.
And we can live being diverse and recognizing that we are not the only ones. It's something that can help, and it takes time, but it's also for me understanding that we need investment. We need investment. We need that. We need, because those farmers, we have a lot of. We as a Nicaraguan country, we are an agricultural country.
Yeah.
All that we export, it's related with agricultural things. We have coffee, we have beans, we have rice. It's like it's that we export, and that's we sell to other countries. We are an agricultural country, but we need to. We need an economic sector who is really committed, not only with, and that's not easy.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I think that we need to take care of the private sector and the investment people.
Investment.
But we also need accountability in that sense, because many of the people who comes to invest in my country pay almost nothing to the people who work for them, and we need that. But they pay a lot of amounts of money to the state or the investor people to allow them to get into the country. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there is a lot of practices who allows the wealth not of the people who really need, but practices who allows the wealth of a group, little groups of people. Do you understand what I mean? So it's not easy. It's a lot of work, but the first step for me is recognize that we need democratic rules to live in a country that it's diverse, to not kill us because you think different than me. To not kill you because you are not of my same ethnic group. To recognize that I'm not the only one. To recognize that we need democratic rules who allows to live in diversity. And then begin to work in education, begin to work on rules for investments and for democratic institution who responds to the problems that the most part of population needs. We need better healthcare services. We need better health. It's a huge package.
Yeah.
But I think that one thing that we can do as citizens who live in these countries is recognize that we need democratic rules to live as a society that is diverse.
Yes, and we can start again. I thought like we'd shift topics a bit because we talked all about Nicaragua. But what about cultural differences, do you think? Because you've lived in United States for a while, and you've of course lived in Nicaragua for a long time. What do you think are the differences between cultures?
God, it's a great question. It's a great question, Senchy, because as I told you, I grew up and I was born in a time
Civil War.
In a civil war, and all that I learned in my childhood about the U.S. was like the imperialism, the capitalism, the one who are doing wars all around the world. Because my family comes from this social commitment.
Yeah.
And so I'm not like these people who think that U.S. it's terrible, but in the context that I grew up, I received that kind of messages. And since I arrived here last year, 1 year ago, this country it's amazing, really. It's like very, very unique in terms of the diversity of people. Not the diversity, because we have that too in Nicaragua, but people, it's like mixed, that's my feeling.
Okay.
It's that you have, it's in cultural terms, it's like people, it's very, very familiar, it's very kind in his way, for example, and maybe that's a difference, because in Latin America in general, we used to touch a lot. When we say hello, we give a hug or a kiss. It's very common. I don't know how it is in the...
No, in Nepal it's different.
It's different?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't touch it.
You don't touch anybody. We touch every time. And that's a Latin American culture in general. And it's like, if you don't touch, it's not polite to only,
that's so cool.
And that's something that I was impressed when I came, because people said hello, and we was like in a matter of distance, and it was like, oh, should I? What I have? What I have that I can? I don't know. I remember the first time that I came here at this building, and I went just to say, to say hello to someone and give that person a kiss. It was the first time that I saw it. So. And the reaction of that person was like, taking distance, and I realized that was like a cultural difference between me and this especially here in Michigan, I think people is like
Compared to
very
like other
polite.
states, you think?
I think yes. I have been in at least 6 or 7 states since I came. But people in New Orleans, for example, it's very loudly.
No.
Yeah, it's another culture, maybe because of the African
Yeah.
culture there. But so, and the other thing it's that it's a cultural difference. For me, it's the fact that neighbors
Are more distant.
are more distant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am in the house that I live since I arrived here 1 year ago in September. 1 year ago, and I don't know my neighbors.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody of my neighbors. And in Nicaragua, if you have someone new in the, even if you live downtown, even if you live, in a circle of people that are not, I don't know, in the farms or everything, people comes and say, hello, my name is, it's like, I don't have that here. And you live your life and your schedule in more loneliness.
Yeah, definitely.
And in Nicaragua you have that sense of community. When I stopped living with my family, my mother, my father, my sister and brothers, and I went to live alone, people in the neighbor, show up and invite you to drink something, or if you have, it was different in that sense. And then maybe the other thing, it's for me related with the fact that Latin American people, we are very expressive. We are. And people here, it's not so much.
Oh, really? Okay.
Even in his faces, it can change. But people, it's very, very, and that's something that I really like it, because it breaks the image that I learned from U.S. people, that it's only white people, only people who, I don't know, who live their lives and are not socially involved. That's not true. You don't have only white people in this country, and you have a lot of passionate people who make a lot of things that are great, and that's something that I really love, and break that image that I grow up on.
Wow, I never realized it, because I think growing up, at least for us, it was, I think, more opposite, where it was like, okay, US is very good, or
really,
because I think it was the time I grew up, because 2000. So with like YouTube, with Hollywood movies, we're like, wow, America is so good. So for me, I think it was like, I thought it was too good, because of course there are some problems in the country, like in America, which at first I thought they weren't there. So I think helping, like coming here also helped me, like remove that stereotype.
Exactly, that's the word. But in your case, it
like
was
the opposite, like everything is too good, so I think I was wrong.
No, for me it was like, that stereotype of the American who is only committed with her or his life and making money, it's the most important. Yes, and I make money, it's important. That's the other thing. And how to use your time and your money, it's also important. It's like that break that stereotype for me.
Yeah, but I agree with neighbors, because at least in Nepal, like we definitely don't touch, because we have
not at all.
No, or like to people we don't know.
I'm sorry, because I always hug
that's
you
fine.
and kiss you.
No, that's completely fine, because here I've gotten used to it.
Okay.
But for us, I think there's more, I don't know, I think like Asia is more conservative in certain things.
Yeah.
Because if someone is older than us, or even like one class older, or a few days or a few months older, we are like, okay, you are now like
The first.
yeah.
Okay.
So like we have something called I don't know, yeah, like you know usted in how you say usted, like in
Yes.
Spanish,
Yes.
but for us, but it's like there's more levels to that too.
Okay.
So I think at least that we are more separate. But in terms of like neighborhood, yeah, because if you go to a new neighborhood or if something happens in the neighborhood, everyone's there to support you, to
Exactly.
invite you over. Because if there's a wedding, like you have to kind of invite your neighbors, you know, you kind of have to.
Exactly. You kind of
Have
have
to.
to.
Yeah, it's
how
almost
how
expected.
you are gonna have a wedding without
Without.
invite your neighbors?
Yeah, and you know them or like invite them for tea.
Exactly.
So we have at least that similarity here, because I think you can live for years and years and not know your
Who
neighbors.
is beside you? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's different.
And the other way, maybe because of I'm a single mother, and so I live only with my daughter. I have a good relation with his father, but he live in other countries, so I am only with my daughter, and you don't have a lot of community to
Yeah.
raise your child. It's like
Yeah.
in Nicaragua, for example, even if you are in a lower class, or if you don't have money, or if you are poor,
Yeah.
you have like a
Support.
community members who support you to raise your child.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and not here.
Yeah, because back
Yeah.
home we have like grandmother,
Exactly.
auntie, uncle.
Exactly. You have
So-
the whole members of the family who takes care. Just right now, my daughter was
Yeah.
outside waiting for 40 minutes for me because I was talking and
Oh, I
here.
feel
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And in Nicaragua, she could go to one
neighbors,
neighbor
yeah.
and stay there and be happy. But here it's different. That's a
Yeah.
cultural thing, I think.
Yeah.
Also that the caring and the sense of community it's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I realized though? Like in Europe, it's a bit better, I think, or at least because I was able to study abroad in Italy,
Okay.
and in Rome, they I think are more like they're more like
Yes,
community,
they are more like Latin American people.
right? Exactly.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are
'Cause-
very touch.
Yeah,
touchable
definitely.
people. Yeah.
So I think it's good. I got used to like different ways of living. So I like that. I like that.
You like it, okay?
Yeah, because I think in Nepal it stops a few things, because I think we respect our elders, but like sometimes too much.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes it's also good to have, like for us in Nepal, it'd be difficult to talk. I think more difficult because you'd be like a senior to me, so it'd be like there'd be more distance.
Oh,
But I think in America, it's like we call people by their first names,
yeah.
so it's a bit like it. I think bridges like different ages.
That's true. That's
So
true.
I think it's a bit better in that sense.
I agree. And the other thing it's in my experience, and maybe because this town,
Mm-hmm.
Kalamazoo,
Yeah.
it's very mixed and very like that. But I can see like that bridges, as you said, between black people, white people, LGBTQ
Yeah.
people. It's like more mixed and more respectful.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know if it's only here.
Yeah, I think in the college is more strong, because I
That's
think
true.
college pushes.
That's true.
But I'm not sure because I've not lived outside the college much. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
we definitely have, I think, a good community here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That, and I was actually reading the paper that you sent, like your speech. I think my story, and I was reading parts of it in the prison, and I thought that was like really, really like inspiring and strong. Because wow, I thought like it sounds very, very
Thank you.
challenging.
Yeah. it
So,
was.
like, could you maybe tell me a few things about? Because there was a part where you said you did like push-ups or squats. Like, why was it important to do those things? You think?
I think that in when I was in jail for being an activist and for being pushing a democratic transition in Nicaragua, and because I was a woman and I'm not young, I'm 43, but in political terms,
That's definitely
I'm young.
Yeah.
It's different in Nicaragua too. And so I was one of the most youngest women in the movement who was
Jailed?
leading, who was leading the movement, etc. So the condition that women had when we was in jail was, for example, me and three others stay in the 20 months that we spent in jail. They put us in a jail alone, only me with myself, and it was hard because humans need socialization, and it was something that they do only with four of us, and the four are women. And then they didn't allow us to have a pencil, to have nothing. You have your time in a jail, 20 months. They didn't get you outside, maybe once a month, to have some sun, to receive sun. And so the only thing that they couldn't took or control was my body, and I use it. I feel that they can took everybody from me. They take me and put me in that jail. They take my properties. They take my family away. And I said, I have my body and I have myself, and I'm gonna use that power because they can take that from me. And I promised and I knew it that I will be free one day, because political prisoners in my country are released in in a line of time. Freedom will happen one day. I didn't know when, even how, but I never imagined, for example, that they will take me, put in a plane, and send me here. But I decided that when that day arrived, I will be in better conditions than when I arrived.
Wow.
And not only in terms of physical health, but also in terms of mind, and that my heart will be without hate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I began to use my body, to spend my hours using my body, doing exercise and workout. And also I began to talk with the moon, because it was the only thing that I saw from my sky was the moon, or
spiders or something.
Talk with the spiders, and see the life that surround me, even in that little space. And that was like my committing to resist. What I said was, they want me like a death in life. They want to inflict, to put sadness on you, to put fear, to put all that kind of emotion that I felt. Yes, I felt, but I decided to not live with that kind of feeling, because that's what they would like. That I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yes, it was a conscious decision for me, and it was like an act of resistance for me, to use my power, the power of being fine, and of being in contact with the life even in that condition.
Wow, that's really, because I know this only in theory, like because I've read some books. There's one, Man's Search for Meaning. Do you know Viktor Frankl?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, because I only know in theory, but you have like actually had to like go through it. So I think it's very cool, very
Thank
tough.
you. And it was hard. It was hard, and I can see some, I can feel, and I can see some effects of that kind of torture, because it was a kind of having you there without going out, receiving the sound, it, that kind of treatment they didn't do with usual prisoners, people who rape, people who make murders. They have access to library, they have access to go in the yard of the jail and chat with other prisoners. That was not allowed for us, and so it's like I can see some consequences. For example, it's still 1 year and some months before my release. I have difficulties to concentrate, to be concentrated, to read some paper. I need to stop and then come back because I didn't have access to anything to read, and you can lose that abilities quickly. So I can see that on me, and it takes time. I think that but they didn't take the most important. That it's, for me, it's the ability of being thankful with life and with people who was there supporting my family and my daughter.
Yeah, I think it's true, because whenever I see you, you're always, I think, happy or smiling.
Thank you.
So I think it's good. Yeah. What else? In regards to like USA, and because there have been like some interventions, right? In not only from USA, maybe different countries. Like, what do you think smaller countries can do to, maybe should we try to prevent that intervention from other bigger countries, or should we just like deal with it best, or what do you think is the way?
I think that if one government in a country, it's not respecting human rights that are described and that are signed by the most part of the countries around the world in the United Nations. So we have an agreement as humans that every human has the same right to live, for example, that nobody should take that right from anybody. And if one government, whatever that government is, it's not respecting human rights, the most basic human rights, international community should act. It's like, for example, if we are here in this space and we look outside and we see that someone is beating somebody else, how you are not gonna do something to avoid that? It's no, I'm not gonna do nothing because it's not. No, you need to act, because someone can die if you don't do something. Or if you live in an apartment and you listen every time that someone is causing pain, physical pain, and you can hear everything that. How can you do nothing? For me, it's the same. And we have an agreement as humanity that in those agreements for living and for respect the other's life are the chart of human rights. So if someone unrespect that and one state do not protect human rights of someone, they should act. They should act. And then they don't need, we have political tools, we have political agreement, every country sign political agreement with other countries. Why not using that political agreement? For example, we in Nicaragua, we had the Monetary International Fund.
Yep. International Monetary Fund.
International Monetary Fund, and this International Monetary Fund has some agreement related with governance, with democracy. They should apply that instrument, legally instrument that they have, because.
But like, how would they apply it? Should they use force then, or
no? For example, they says in their rules that if one country do not respect the institutionality of each institution of the state, they will stop the funds for this ministry, for example.
Okay.
And they can do that. No, I'm not going to give you more money because it says that you are using the money for kill people and for buy weapons to kill civils, citizens. So they can do that, but they don't do. That's the fact.
So they don't do?
No. Because I think that is, the picture is bigger, and we have this corporative or personal interest that always play in the scene. But my work as a Nicaraguan citizen is to show that people that that they can do something, and to push them to do something related with that. For example, stop giving them money to that institution because we have facts that show that they are using that money not for the purpose that you give it to them, but for this and this and this. That's a way.
Once you were sent to the US, you said, I think I read something about Spain helping with like passport or something. Was it like, what was it?
Well, that's another thing that countries can do. It's help people who is working in a peaceful way.
Yeah.
And my when we was released and when we was bring it here at the U.S. because of this negotiation between the U.S. government and the dictatorship, that was a kind of solidarity, international solidarity. Yeah. And so the regime, at the second day that they put us in that plane, they stripped us our nationality. So I no longer exist in Nicaragua. My daughter have a birth certificate with no mother because they erased me from all the legal documents that allows my existence in Nicaragua, for me and for the other people too. And so Spain offered to the 222 political prisoners who came in that plane the nationality. And they make it fast. And I have a passport right now from Spain. And it was because of solidarity, because it's like the only one who did that was Hitler at the Second War, who expelled Jewish people from their nationality in Germany, for example. So nobody else in this era has do something like that. Nobody. One of the first right that you have is the right to have a citizenship. There in the place, even here in the U.S., if your mother and your father are not citizenship, but you born here, you automatically have your citizenship, because that's a right that most part of the countries allows. Even for people who are not from this country. And Daniel Ortega and Rosario Murillo took us that right. And so someone shows solidarity and offer us a nationality, and that was Spain. So that's another fact. It's countries can intervene and can do things like this to stop the human rights violations in other countries.
Yeah, I think those
not in the old way. The old way was like, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Just going in military. All the way.
Exactly. Yeah. We are not asking for things like that. We are asking for the international solidarity. And the international actions, legally action that are written in the whole mechanism that exists in an international level and law that countries can apply, and they should apply.
Yeah, I agree. I think non-violent way is better, because at least I think whenever US has tried to do like military, it's not been as good. I think
not at all. We don't need that.
I think there's a big difference.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yeah.
And it's good that Spain did that the US helped.
Yes.
I think US does a lot, because I see so many like refugees from different places in the US. So I think it's good that they support
good.
them.
Yeah, and that's kind of solidarity too.
Yeah.
The fact of offer you
like even citizenship sometimes, or at least help.
Exactly.
So I think it's good, because I don't know if you know, but in Nepal it was something similar or related to Nepali people. Do you know there's a country called Bhutan?
Yes.
So it's like near Nepal, and lots of people from Nepali background used to live in Bhutan.
Okay.
But they've been living in Bhutan for like 2-3 generations. Okay. So their grandparents were born in Bhutan, their parents were born in Bhutan, they were born in Bhutan, but they used to still speak Nepali and be Nepali.
Okay.
But like Bhutan, like they expelled them out of the country.
Wow.
So I think it was something similar, of course. And then they came to Nepal, but even Nepal, our government, we were not able to support them, because there were lots of people. So I think it was maybe failure in our government's part, but many countries took them. Like US took a lot of like Bhutanese refugees.
That's amazing, and we should to ask for that kind of solidarity, and that's happened also in Dominican Republic and Haiti. Many people, 3 or 4 generations of Haitian people who lived in Dominican Republic, and they expelled them, and they didn't allow to have any documents, even when they was workforce there. It's not fair. It's terrible. How can you do something like that? But that exists and still exists in many countries.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that example of Haiti and Dominican Republic, it's happening right now, for example, and in Nicaragua. But it's different, because in my country it's my own people. But not my people, because that dictator, but he is a Nicaraguan. And it's not the same with the example of Haiti and Dominican Republic, because there are two different countries, but it's almost the same principle. It's like you recognize that each life is important, and recognize that if someone do not recognize, I can act in different ways. And in ways that are legally, that are not giving people or army, or allowing your army to go to, I don't know, that's not a help. And I agree with you.
Okay, let me completely switch topics.
Okay.
But because I was keep on noticing I feel your English is really good, especially for having learned like for a year. Like maybe for the people who are trying to learn a different language, like what do you think you've done that has helped you speak like quite well?
Well, I think that talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
Just to talk, and it's when I have this shame for speak English and not to be clear in the ideas, I said, well, the one he's listening to me, he doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So if he tried to speak Spanish, he will be worse than I am. And so that gives me some power to spread whatever I need to, the idea that I need to express. But I think it's knowing that the people who you are talking, they don't speak your language either.
Yeah.
So you can commit mistake, because if they speak your language, they will do the same, and you will be okay if they do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, it's like, it's okay if I don't know everything, and it's okay because I can learn and lose that fear of talk. And
do you use anything like books or YouTube video or?
I read, but I love to read in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
But in English, I read, since I'm here, 2 books in English. Yeah. And I understand I understand almost, I don't know, 90% of the history. But I lose little by little the fear of talk and the fear of committing mistakes when I talk. And the other thing is allowing others to correct me. I think that it's important. It's like, my English is not so fluent, but if I'm saying something that is not okay, I ask, it's okay what I'm telling?
Yeah, right, you do. It's
correct me, please. Yeah, it's that. I think that to not be fear of talk and commit mistake and ask to others to correct you are those both things that help me to speak better.
I think it's the fear thing, which I think it helps learning a new language. Because when I went to Italy, I think I had a better time like trying to learn Italian, because I was already had experience with speaking, like trying to learn another language like English.
Okay.
So I was kind of, I think, used to the not knowing a language fully. Okay. So I think it gets easier.
And you speak Italian?
No.
No?
Like, not well, like very, very less. Okay. But definitely more than when I first got there. Yeah, no, most of my Italian was like broken Spanish, because Spanish, Italian, a bit similar.
It's pretty similar.
Yeah, it's like donde is like dove or something.
Exactly.
But no, definitely not. Definitely not.
But you're very good with English.
English, but I think it's because when you're growing up, if you learn 2 languages, I think it can be easy.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Because I think your daughter like will speak really good English and really good Spanish. Because I think she's growing up that way.
I agree.
So I think it's easier. But like to learn later on, I think that is like impressive.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Again, education, and it's the best. And have this opportunity to learn both languages in your own country.
Yeah, I think that's what US does, I think, well. Because here students often do like one sport, they can play a musical instrument, they know another language. So I think they've done that really well. Because back home in Nepal, if you do sports, people are like, this person is doing sports, this person is not, this person does not have a good future or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know, it's our culture where sports, even art or music, they're like, oh, this guy is not.
It's not.
This guy is not a student, you know. So it's very different.
Yeah,
is it similar? Would you say in Nicaragua or?
No. Nope. It's
I think
like,
that's good then.
yeah, if you are going to study music, for
Yeah.
example, your family members or the community maybe will say you are not gonna be.
Like engineer, doctor, or something.
Yes, it's like your life will be better if you win more money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like music.
Yeah,
Yeah, because music, arts are fields,
yeah.
fields
Yeah, fields.
that are not good paid.
Yeah,
It's-
definitely.
Yeah, so not in Nicaragua. So someone who is musician, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's not like here.
Yeah.
Really. It's almost the same, but it happened also with psychology. I am a psychology
Yeah, yeah.
as a profession, and I remember that when I decided to study psychology, my family, many of them said, "That's not a good."
Yeah, like you don't earn as much.
Yeah, or it's not something that will allows you to have a good life because you are not well paid, as a psychologist.
Yeah.
It's like that sense of, yeah, it's like, but it's almost the same. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's true. That, and I think you were saying earlier that you read mostly in Spanish. Like, what sorts of books do you read? Because I read a lot too.
You too?
Yeah.
In English?
Yeah,
or
in English.
Okay. I love novels.
Okay.
Yes, and I love novels that are related with historical events.
Okay.
Or
So they would be fiction or non-fiction?
I prefer non-fiction.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Real
Wow.
life
Oh,
events.
okay.
That many of the history of that novel, it's recreated, but took elements from
I think it's called
real
like
life.
historical fiction. Is what they call it.
Historical fiction, but not science fiction
Yeah, okay.
history. No,
Yeah.
I don't like science fiction.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Because I like reading history too. Because I was really into history, but I read mostly in English. But like, what sorts of books have you read?
I love reading, for example, writers that are Latin American writers. Garcia Marquez, it's one of the most famous. He is Colombian, and he has one novel that it's famous that calls 100 years of
Solitude or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's one of his most
Yeah.
popular novel. He died many years ago, but I read all his books. For example, I like another novelist named Marcela Lagarde, that it's from Chile, and she used to write about history novels, but related with women. Yeah, and I discovered one that I think it's maybe one of the of my little list of American writers that I read. She passed away last year. Her name is but she wrote like a bestseller called The Seven Sisters. It's in Kindle if you wanna read it. And I love her novels. Each novel it's related with one of those seven sisters, so 7 novels.
Dang, okay.
Her name Lucinda Really. Yeah. I love her, and I love her these 7 books. Really. Yeah. Something like that. And the other one that I like, I don't know, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
But it's Lucinda.
Okay.
And the other one is Sarah Lark.
Oh,
and she's Australian also, but she's always linking his histories with the Maori culture,
Yep,
with
yep.
this
Like the indigenous
from
Australia.
and so she always put in her novels this the colonization of England and how the cultures mixed and how the difference between the Maoris and the England people and how they I love her history, so she is one of my favorites too. And she write in English, so the novels that I read it from both of hers are translated from English to Spanish.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I think there's some very good like Spanish works that I need to read. Like 100 Years of Solitude, I heard is very famous.
Yeah.
That was
And the other one that I have it and I can give it to you because I have physically in my house. It's
is it in English or Spanish?
in English.
Okay.
In English. But I didn't read it in English. I did in Spanish, but I have it in English, and it's the open veins of Latin America. It calls open veins of Latin America, and that book was wrote by Eduardo Galeano.
Galeano, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That also like old ones like I think Don Quixote is Spanish.
Who?
Don Quixote.
Yeah.
Or something. It's like those are some like famous I think.
Yeah.
Spanish language books. But yeah, wow, that's really good that you.
Yeah, and the other novelist that it's from America, but he came from China.
Okay.
And all her novels are related with Asian migration and all the history related with. It's Amy Tan.
Amy Tan.
Yeah, I love her.
Wow, you do read a lot of novels. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
cool.
again, Amy Tan write in English and I read Spanish version.
Yeah.
Her
But
Spanish
I think it's good.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I read mostly like I think non-fiction,
Okay.
but it's about maybe like history or sometimes a biography of different people.
Okay.
Like I was reading one of like Benjamin Franklin or like.
I would like to. And you have it physically?
No, like I read most of it online.
Online, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
I have very few physical. But there are some like really good books about like economies of like countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I think reading has really helped me kind of expand
Me
what
too.
I know.
I love reading, but it's something that I'm not doing enough this year. It's like
Busy? You're busy or what?
no, I think that it's one of the consequences of being in solitude and in prison, that it's hard for me to concentrate.
Yeah.
Is that the word?
Yeah, concentrate definitely.
To concentrate.
For like how long? Is it for like a longer period?
Yeah.
Because before you could concentrate for longer? Or?
A lot of hours. I could be in a chair 4 or 5 hours reading something. And yeah.
Wow.
And now, it's like I'm coming.
Yeah, I think
I'm working on. It's
Yeah.
an working progress.
Work in progress, definitely.
Work in progress.
Yeah, because I think you can lose like your abilities. Like if you don't run for a while,
Yes.
you lose run.
Definitely.
But maybe definitely if you don't concentrate on a book for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even I can't. I don't think I read that long at once. Maybe 1.5 hours.
Really?
Then I stopped and then I start again.
Okay. No. For me, it was I could spend the whole weekend reading something.
Nah.
I, of course, get up to go to eat something, but then I come back because I really loved read. Yeah, but not anymore. Not in that way. Things change, so it's like being flexible and
Yeah, definitely.
and adapt
Oh,
yourself.
What else do you do in your free time then? If it's not.
I love workout.
Okay.
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
Really.
Like what do you do? Is it weights or just running or like what do you?
I'm a single mother, so when I have visits or my mom or some relative who is spending time with us, I go to the gym
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I never see you. Maybe we go in different times.
Yes. Yeah. I used to go at noon or in the
Okay.
mornings.
Okay.
But since summer, I work out in my house.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm here at work and then I go home, but I can leave my daughter alone while I am at the gym, so I work out in the house and I have some pounds and I do push-ups and I do
Okay. I think.
and squash and
Yeah. I
one.
think it's good because back in Nepal I used to not work out, but here, because there's a gym so close, I think I started.
Exactly.
And it's been.
Yeah. But that's something that I learned of being in jail as a political prisoner. It's like you can always do something in the space you are. And I learned that because I'm sure that without having that experience,
Yeah.
right now I couldn't work out in my house. I will maybe say, no, I'm not working out because I need to take care of my daughter and I don't have anyone to take care of her if I go to the gym. And now it's, yes, I can. She's here with me and I can work out being with her and working.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like that changed on me. So I love to work out in my free times. I like to read, but it's a work in progress still. And I like to go to eat, and
So like different places or different
places,
cuisines? Okay.
different plates, try different flavors.
I always wonder, because in Nepal our food is more spicy, it's more
I
like
love
flavor.
spicy food.
But in Nicaragua, is it the same?
We used to eat spicy food, not into the food, but we have different kind of spices that you can add. So people don't use it as a mix in the food, but you have the ingredients to put it when you have your plate done.
Yeah.
But I love spicy food, and near here, I don't know if you know that place, Saffron.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh yeah,
and
saffron.
it's
You can walk
Indian
there.
food.
Yeah,
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
I love that place. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's similar to what we'd have back home.
Okay.
Because here I found, at least at first, it was difficult for me to get used to the food, I think. So
yes, and I love to walk. It's something that I discovered too, and run sometimes.
Yeah.
Not every day because my
knee.
knees hurts after
definitely.
running. But I love to feel the air in my face and walk and see around. That's things that I like to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if there's something you can do with your daughter, I think that'll be better, because maybe running is difficult, but walking is probably.
Walking, it's perfect. And the other thing that I like to do, and I discovered that here, it's I don't have car, and I decide that I don't want to have a car.
Yeah.
And because I'm gonna be here just for a year, it's like so. But I have a bike, and I bought a bike for me and my daughter, and we go to the supermarket on Saturdays, for example, or to the market, to the farmer market on Saturdays morning. We in our bikes and our backpack, and I like those things. And here you have all the, not everywhere, but
bike lanes.
The bike lanes and everything. So it's very safe, and I like it. Yeah. Too.
Thank you. I think we are at the end of our conversation. Unless, is there anything last you'd like to add, maybe? But if not, we can also end right here.
No, I think I appreciate, Senchy, your time.
Of course. It was my pleasure.
Your work in this sense, and really touched by this time.
Mhm.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.